Hi, this is Matthew to talk about another interesting, well, at least to me, thing. It's a radio program. I guess you could call it a radio soap, I suppose. Called The Archers. It's been around since 1950, technically. There was a pilot, I think, in one area of the country for 5 episodes in 1950. I think they introduced the characters. I'm not sure precisely what those episodes were. The New Year's Day of 51, it went nationwide through the UK. It is a British soap on BBC. It's on Radio 4. It's always been there. You can, of course, listen to it live online, or you can get it as a podcast, or you can go to the website and listen to it there. I don't know that the website has commercials. The podcast does have various types. Sometimes they're local. Sometimes they're not. They're nationwide. Sometimes they don't have any ads. It is a show. I know it was, I think, 15 minutes. It went down. It had been 13 minutes for a number of years now. About people in the little village of Ambridge, which, of course, doesn't exist. Next town to them, Felpersham, doesn't exist. That's where most big things are, like big restaurants and I think there may be one supermarket there. I'm not sure. I think it's in Yorkshire, technically, but I forget. I'm spacing on what their county is for the Archers. They have a BBC regional station. Radio Borsetshire is the county. It says Radio Borsetshire. Yeah, they revolves around some different families. The Archers, the Grundys, the Carters, several other ones, but there's several farms, some small ones, some big ones. There's the pub in the village called the Bull. I know there's a community shop you can get things from in this village. There's even a vet place. There's like a place that does different cheeses and milk. As part of a farm. We've got some other. This was called Great Gables, which is like a big, nice, fancy hotel. And you've got some other establishments different characters have around. It's mostly just village kind of happenings most of the time. Just people's, with their family and their businesses. Sometimes you have bigger issues going on, other storylines. And mostly it's just everyday stuff, but you do have bigger overarching things because they do want to make it appeal to modern people. So they have a lot of settings that really would be in a bigger city and not in a small village sometimes. It was originally to educate farmers after World War II how to farm correctly and just new things that were happening, that the government was putting in. It has expanded out now to being just more of a modern drama that you would have anywhere. So you have some issues that probably could creep up in a small village, but most likely wouldn't. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it's depending on what area you were in. They do have a cricket team, which I guess they're in a very small, county league that sometimes wins, a lot of times doesn't win. It's just people in the community. No professionals, just normal people that just like to play the game or watch it. Lots of different characters that rotate through at different times. Not everybody is in the show at the same time. I guess some people are on retainer. They just kind of come in and out whenever they need them. I think they record 10:30 or something in the morning, UK time. It goes out at at, I think, yes, about 7 p.m. in the evening, UK time. And just a little bit after that, it goes out on the podcast and stuff. Pretty quick turnaround, I suppose. It's recorded that morning and out that night. They do sometimes work in other things happening in the day. You will get sometimes something happens to a current event or something. But yeah, mostly just happenings in the village. Nice way to escape, at least to me. Don't have to think about anything. Just people living out their day. It's different because I don't live in the UK and I don't live in these communities, but I know about about farming. There's farms outside of Springfield, so I know I've been to places, I've seen stuff. Kind of reminds me sort of this area sometimes, but it's not, obviously. Just kind of a nice little way to spend 13 minutes and not have to really worry about much. Sometimes something bad will happen to a character. Obviously, throughout the years, we've had many different people that, obviously I would never have known because I didn't listen. I wasn't born from a lot of them. I only started listening a little bit in 07, then came back in 09, listened to on Labor Day of 2012, and I couldn't find some episodes, so I gave up. Came back in 19, and I think this is the longest I've been listening to the show, I think. I know some of the kids have gotten recast over the years. The Archer kids I do not care for. I don't care for one voice in particular. I liked the younger version of one character better, but some people get recast. Some people have one guy died and has been replaced by another person. Some people have some have just died and they've worked their death in to the show. I know one lady retired and actually killed her character off screen, as it were. But yeah, it's things come and go and change. Like any place you live. But I just kind of like the show. I know several non-British people that listen to it, at least 2 or 3 or so. Maybe there's probably some others scattered around I'm not thinking of in other countries that probably listen also, like I do. But of course, I know some Brits. There was a nice unofficial community that has sprung up. I've had a question or two, and they've answered very, very nicely. When they stumped them, I was told them how old I was, and they're like, who would I have gone to school with? Who would my friends have been if I lived in this village? And they were trying to figure it out. And, came to somewhat of a consensus, but not an entire for certain, but some guesses. I was like, well, that's a very interesting question. I never thought of that before. So, weird things you think about. I wonder who I would, if I lived there, who would I be with? Who would I have hung out with or been around growing up and such? But there's several podcasts about it and different things. Some books have been written. I know wherever you can get audiobooks, there have been some collections produced of different kinds of episodes, or 60 or 70 years worth of episodes, or episodes from the early period. There's been some different collections. I know the UK, the RNAP has a whole bunch of them if you can get access to that library, but a lot of them are on Audible and stuff, I think. I didn't check, since I have a thing there now. I didn't check there to see. I could search it, I think, without one, but I don't know if I should check that and see if we have. I think those collections are available on Audible too. Different places, obviously. If you live in the UK, you can check your library and see if they have them also. But yeah, there's different ways to get to them, those best of collections. Just a nice way to spend 13 minutes and not have to really worry about things. Obviously, if something horrible happens, you do worry about the characters, but you'll. It goes out Sunday through Friday, and then there's nothing on Saturday at all. Sunday they have the omnibus edition early in the morning, and then the new episode goes out that evening. I would do, if I were them, I would have the omnibus on Saturday. But that's not, they didn't ask me, but that's how I would do it. That way you'd have something Archer's every day. And I think Radio 4 Extra, I want to say might have it too. I think it may air over there also. I'm not certain. And I thought maybe one of them might get repeated in the morning too. I can't remember exactly on Radio 4 how that works as far as live airings, but I just get the podcast. I listen live occasionally, but it's just such a weird time. Usually I'm at work or doing something else, and I just, about 2 or 3 o'clock or later, I'll pull up the podcast and listen. I do my stream videos. I know that was one I showed that I had, and I do have the omnibus. There's a different theme on the omnibus. The theme is called Barwick Green. I'm not sure where the original recording is, but I think it was written in the 20s. I'm not sure why they picked it. I don't know if it was a royalties thing or what exactly, but it's kind of a folk tune sort of thing. But I think it was written, at least recorded in the 20s. I'm not sure if it's all of its origins on that. It's a catchy little tune. They have kind of an orchestral one normally that has been varied over the different years. There was an accordion one they used in the early 2000s that a band made. But there's a different version on the omnibus. There was a kind of a spin-off Ambridge thing on Radio 4 Extra, what it's called now. I listened to one season, but I never really listened to it after. They had another season or so after that. But it was things that they couldn't cover in the main show. I don't know how well it did. I don't think it's not still running, I don't believe. It had a couple of seasons. But they were like really long, and I liked the bite-sized ones. When I did listen to it back in 2019, I did go back into that week's omnibus, and I caught it like I think Wednesdays. Wednesday or Thursday or something, and I went ahead and listened to it up to where I had gotten to, and then stopped. Because that thing's over an hour, and it just takes all the episodes, puts one opening and closing credit, theme on top of it, on them, and just plays everything out. So you just go. There's no episode divisions. You just kind of, when you've got about a 13 or 14 minute chunk, that's the next section will occur. But I can't remember what had happened at the beginning of it, and so I was able to just like stop it or pause it where I was, and I didn't need the rest of it. But just to know kind of what had happened that week, what I'd missed. It was just a nice little series. You can kind of get away with something different, and it is radio, so you always know what's going on. You get to know people's voices, but sometimes a lot of times they'll say the names of the people. I guess that way, if you don't know who's speaking, but you listen even a few weeks, and you'll get the people's voices in your head pretty easily, or even a month or two, and you'll get it. But even a month, I'd say you would know who most of the people are. Yeah, I just know who's talking. Of course, it is in stereo. They do have like everybody's, left to right pan. If you have headphones in, you can hear them separate off. And they fade they'll fade in and out of a scene to they're the new place. If it's in the same place, they'll kind of, the dialogue will fade off and then it'll fade into a new place, but they don't have like the pause usually, or if they do, it's very quick to show, oh, we're in the same place, but it's a different point of view, or it's somebody different in the area in the same place that they are. That happens occasionally. But yeah, and they do have they've had floods have hit parts of the UK, and they've worked it into, unfortunately, hitting Ambridge. Different things like that have happened over the years. I know, like foot and mouth disease has been a thing, and just other things that would have affected farmers and just people in that area that they're supposed to be in. They've worked big things like that into the plot at different times. think to varying degrees of success over the years. But yeah, if you just want a nice little quick thing, you might check out The Archers on BBC Radio 4 live or as a podcast, or you can just search for them, and the place of all the episodes will come up. I think there's about 26 or so at a time, and then you can see the upcoming ones. There's about 30 months worth of those. They don't. I think they only potentially stay up for about a month or so, and they just get replaced as new ones come in. They don't have, you can't like go back and listen to earlier ones or anything. It's just kind of that current month's worth, I think. Mostly, as far as I know, there are some older ones on YouTube. I know for sure. As I said, you have those best of sets, but there are some older recordings on YouTube. There's some groups on Facebook. There are a whole bunch of podcasts. Just search for The Archers. There's different ones out there if you want to get more nitty-gritty of like people's opinions, or like there's like an academic where they've written papers about different aspects of village life and stuff. Yeah, there's different ones out there, so give it a check it out if you haven't, or maybe if you, like me, you went away for a while, you might come back, see what's going on in the village. They do enough talking about other events that you can kind of catch up. Oh, okay, well, something happened to this person, but I'm not exactly sure. But as time goes on, you'll kind of you can get worked back into it if you have left for a while. Come back to a nice sleepy little British village called Ambridge, if you want to. You might stay a while. I will see you guys in another video.